My name is Matt Rudisell, and I've been a business owner for the past 24 years, helping others get what they want out of life. I help people and businesses grow with the help of one-on-one coaching, social media assistance, and planning that will get them to that next level. But instead of working with you myself, I developed this podcast to share with you what others are actually doing. These people are your neighbors, your friends, could also be you. But do you consider yourself an expert? Do you know someone who is? Have you ever wondered what it takes to become that person? Well, today in this episode of the Experts Game podcast, our guest will share with you the struggles, hardships, and successes they've experienced on their way to becoming an expert in their field. You don't want to miss it, so grab your notebook and pen, and we'll get started in just a moment. Hey guys, welcome back to the Experts Game podcast. My name is Matt Rudisell and I'm your host. And today we have a special guest with us. His name is Tim Goetz. We've got a great story and I am ready to hear it today. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Hey Tim, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing fine. Tim and I graduated from the same high school long time ago. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. And Tim's actually a year younger than me, but we graduated from big Bessemer City High School in one or two stoplight town, Bessemer City, North Carolina. I think there's actually two stoplights in Bessemer City.
It might be 2.5 now.
Yeah, 2.5. Well, that sounds great. Well, we're excited to have you here today, Tim. Tim's got a really good story, like I said, and I am really ready to hear from him today. But I want to start out just with a very quick question. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you do? And I know you're a great photographer. I've looked at some of your website stuff today, and I want to dive into some of that as well. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I am 48 years old now and married almost 30 years. It's like, well, we're going on 29 almost.
Okay.
So we've got one daughter. She's 23 and I've got a son-in-law. No grandkids yet, but I fresh out of high school, about a year out of graduation, went to Bible college, felt a call in my life to minister to teenagers. And so I went to Bible college, and then we actually got married first, and then we went to Bible college. And then we ended up coming back to our hometown area, and I served as a youth pastor for 12 years at my local home church, just ministering to kids in the community, just loving on teenagers. And then after 12 years of doing that, we transitioned into the lead pastor role, and we took a church in Kings Mountain, which is not too far from where we graduated in Bessemer City. And we were senior pastors there at the church for about 8.5 years. And after about 8.5 years of doing that, this was about 3 years ago, we kind of felt a shift where we were it was time for us to shift out of full-time ministry. And so we did that. And I kind of devoted my time into the photography business. Rewind just a little bit. While I was doing, my daughter was born, was what got me into taking pictures. Like a lot of people, they get a kid, baby's born, and you take a lot of pictures. Well, 23 years ago, I grabbed one of my dad's old film cameras, and I just started taking pictures of my daughter. I was back then, of course, everything was film, and I was getting a roll of film developed a week. I just thought it was fun, just adjusting your own settings and that sort of thing. And so I did that, and was doing youth ministry at that time. And then digital came out. And when digital came out, I started playing around with digital, and I was still youth pastoring at the time. And I just started pulling teenagers from my youth group. And I was like, hey, girls, you want to do a photo shoot? And so I started taking pictures of the kids in the youth group, just doing fun photo shoots. And that's kind of where it got me started. You know, my background with working in teenagers is kind of what led me to kind of gravitate to the genre of high school seniors when it comes to photography. And so that's kind of the reason why I locked into that as opposed to weddings or babies or infants or families. I mean, I can do families and all that stuff, but I'm just not as passionate about it. My passion and my drive has always been teens, and so when I transitioned into photography, it was teens. But so I was doing photography part-time and pastoring part-time or full-time and part-time, however you want to say it. And I was kind of juggling both. And then whenever I transitioned out of ministry full-time, then I was able to focus my 100% of my efforts and energy into the photography business. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the last 3 years.
Man, that's awesome. I think that's really good as far as businesses go, because it kind of lets people know how to get started in business. You know, you pick a genre or something that is of interest to you, and that's kind of what you did. You took something that you were already familiar with and you got started with it. That's why.
One of the things, especially in the photography industry, there's a lot of photographers will be kind of like the jack of all trades. You know, they'll do wedding photography, they'll do babies, they'll do this, they'll do pets. But the most successful ones are the ones that really niche down. The ones that say, you know, I'm gonna niche down into this. And so for me, it's seniors, it's high school seniors and teens. You know, you've got some photographers that they thrive on weddings and the love story and, you know, the romance of all that. So they thrive on that, and that's their jam. So yeah, I do believe niching down is really important.
Wow, we're just getting started, and you've already given us 2 great tips, because that second one about niching your business is not just in photography. You need to do that with everything. You know, if you're a restaurant, you can't sell every type of food out there. You know, you have to be specific. It's just not going to work. I've seen restaurants try to do it before, but you know, in real estate, I'm in real estate as well. I can't be something to everybody. I can't do property rentals. I can't do land development. I can't, you know, sell commercial. I can't sell residential. I can't put it all together. I do parts of some of those, but I have to niche it down a little bit.
Because when you try to do everything, you don't do anything good.
That's right. Definitely. You've heard that jack of all trades, master of none. So exactly. Very, very similar. What do you think's made you the most successful in the photography realm? Is it because you picked a niche and stuck with it, and you stayed with it, or is it because of something else? What do you think?
I think that's part of it, is niching down, but I also think I'm really big on education and investing in education. There's a lot of photographers who, you know, there's nothing wrong with learning stuff online. You know, you can learn, you can watch YouTube videos and tutorials and all that stuff, but you can't put a price tag on quality education. And that's one thing that has really helped my business more than anything. Was I got locked into a specific conference that I go to every year called SYNC, which is Seniors and Youth National Conference. And it's basically all about senior and youth portrait photography. They go over the business side of it. They go over all aspects of it. And so I've been going to that conference. I'm going in a few weeks, actually, and that'll be the 8th one that I've attended. And I think that's probably one of the things that has made me the most successful, is investing in education, because of the relationships that I've built, the network that I've built of photographers. You know, we were talking before we started recording, you know, about the Facebook post that I had posted. One of the things that this network of community that I've created, there hasn't been a time in the last 7 or 8 years that I have posted or expressed concern or I was down about something about my business, that I haven't had somebody in the photography community pick up the phone and call me. You know, and I had a guy just yesterday, because he saw my post the other night. He's a photographer out of Virginia. I've made connections with him over the last several years. He called me up yesterday morning and was like, how can I help your business? You know, and just, you know, just that has just been gold to me. Just creating that network, and you know, you can't put a price tag on the education that you invest in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, a lot of us over the last few years, because of COVID restrictions and things like that, we have had to limit ourselves to a lot of online training. And I personally do a lot of it. You know, we were talking about that earlier, how many seminars I've done online over the past few years. But I 100% agree that in-person connections is very important. There is a seminar that, or a conference I've been going to the past 2 years. 2 years ago, I went the week before. I got home the week before all of the COVID lockdowns started.
Yeah.
And it was really funny, because the last thing I heard at that conference was a storm is coming. And that came out of Tony Robbins' mouth. I don't know if you know who Tony Robbins is, but Tony Robbins, big motivational speaker, tall motivational speaker too. But he was the main speaker there at that conference. And he just happened to say a storm is coming. Nobody knew what he was talking about. And he probably didn't know exactly what he was talking about, other than you need to be prepared.
Yeah.
And this past year in September, I went back to a live in-person conference. It was in Orlando, and Tony Robbins also spoke again. So I've got to hear him twice, along with about 30 or 40 other speakers, and it's a great conference, and the networking is key. I know people that I have met at previous conferences that I still keep up with. You know, we communicate through Facebook, or maybe we'll run into each other at the conference. There's so much to be said about in-person learning. And it's also hard sometimes for an instructor to do Zoom trainings. I do them all the time, but I don't see who's in my class. I mean, I see their names, but I don't see their faces a lot of times. So it's very hard to figure out, you know, if somebody's getting everything, if they're understanding everything. When you're face to face with somebody, you recognize all that. So I think that is a huge key. You've got to invest in yourself. You've got to. And I have seen some of your posts about some of these conferences you've been to, and I know how important that is. So I appreciate you saying that. That's a huge tip. You know, you've got to put money into yourself. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes you may think, well, I don't need to do that, but in order to grow you personally and grow your business, you got to invest in yourself. Okay, well, so let's maybe change gears a little bit, still on the same topic, but when you're in the photography business, what would you say your average workday looks like?
For me, because I have to pull a couple side jobs here and there, just because, you know, you got to do what you got to do to make ends meet. So for me, I have a couple other side jobs as well. So for an average day for me, what it looks like is I actually get up at, my first alarm goes off at 4:45. I'm usually out of bed by 5. I drive a school bus part-time, which that kind of works out perfect, because it's in the morning first thing before anything else happens, and then it's later on in the afternoon. So I've got this in-between time that I can work on photography or whatever I need to do. And it's also part-time so that I can take off if I need to. But I usually get to the school about 6 o'clock. I drive the school bus from 6 to 8:30. And then I leave there and I go straight to the gym, work out for at least an hour. Then I come here to the office and work on photography stuff. And marketing is obviously a huge thing. That's almost a full-time job in itself, social media marketing, especially with high school teens. But and then I usually make my way back to the school around 2:45, and work for another hour and a half, and then I've got the evening to do whatever I need to do, whether it be in the summertime. A lot of times we'll do photo shoots in the evenings, because with the day, the days are longer, obviously. So we get those sunsets, but that's kind of what an average day looks like for me.
Well, I think that's impressive. I think the school bus gig also kind of keeps you front and center sometimes too, to some of those prospective clients. A lot of times we may think that the parents are the ones that are actually, obviously sometimes spending the money, but the kids actually dictate what our parents or what we spend money on as parents. So I think it kind of keeps you front and center sometimes with the students. Not that you're out advertising your business or anything during those times, but you're building relationships, and I think the relationships are how we build our businesses today. So that's pretty cool. I like that. I have a few hats as well. So because of that, I have to kind of space my time out a little bit through that. Yeah. What would you do if you had to start over today? If the photography business fell apart and you didn't have it any longer, what would you do? Would you do photography again, or would you do something else? Okay.
I probably would, because it's something I love. I love creating. It would be something in the arts, because one of the things that I do with my business is I not only create images, but I also create films. Each one of my seniors get their own custom cinematic film created. So I've always been drawn to video production, video. I loved going to the movies when I was growing up with my dad. And so just the whole theater aspect. So it definitely would be something along the lines of art, whether it be film, images, photography. If I had to start over, it would be in that field still.
Well, that's good. A lot of a good lesson out of that would be, do something that you love, do something that you know. I think that anything that we do in life, we have to really think about why we do it. And I can see now, obviously, guys, if you are watching this today, you probably haven't seen Tim's artwork, so to speak, yet, his photography, but I'm going to leave a link down in the description so you'll be able to go straight to that. It's good. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. It's very unique. Obviously he's taking pictures of seniors, and it's them, it's a real picture, a real photograph of them. But I just saw the one about the arcade. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, there's so many added elements to what Tim does that, anyway, I just think you got to check it out. I think it's really good stuff. And I feel like that's what probably drives your business a little bit. That's what people come for. They want that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And my heart really too is because as I said before, I've got a background in ministry, and I've got a background on ministering the word to kids, and I did it when I was in youth ministry. And so now here I am still working with teenagers, but now it's more of a business. But the way I view it is I really, my heart and desire is to view my business as the ministry. And my goal really is to make each teenager that I photograph be able to see themselves, not only as the people that love them see them, but for them to see themselves as God sees them. And that through those images that they would be able to get encouraged, inspired, and to go from where they are to where God wants them to be. So wherever that may be.
Oh gosh, fantastic. I mean, I think that is that truly shows your passion. It truly shows where your heart is. It truly shows why this is the right business for you to be into, and as well. Okay, so I've got two more questions and we'll wrap this up. Number one, is there something that you want to share with the audience that people don't know about you? Maybe a hobby, a special interest, I'll give you an example. I can't believe this has happened, but a lot of people I've talked to say they like to garden. They love having a garden out of their house. They like to mess with flowers and plants and stuff. I don't know if that's you. I kind of like to do it a little bit, but I just thought it was odd that I'm getting that answer a lot. But what's a special hobby, interest, something like that you've got?
I tell you, this is something that I just got into this year, and it's not necessarily something that nobody knows about because I've been very vocal about it since I've gotten into it over the last 6 months. But I bought a one wheel this year, and if for those of you, every time I say that, for those who don't know what that is, they're always like, "Well, is that a unicycle?" Like, no, it's not a unicycle. It's kind of like a skateboard with a big go-kart tire in the center of it. So it kind of self-balances. It's got a motor in it. It can go up to 19 miles an hour, which I ride with guys that have pushed theirs up to like 23, 24 miles an hour, which is crazy. But it's a cross between a skateboard and a cross between a snowboard because you can literally carve with it. And I've gotten involved with a One Wheel Charlotte here in our area, in the city of Charlotte. There's a group, and there's probably at least 20 to 30 of us that meet every Sunday afternoon, and we just shred the streets of Charlotte. And it is so much fun. It's freeing. It is. I got an Insta360 camera, so I have it follow me around a lot. I've actually created some cool little videos with that, and posted it on my Facebook just to kind of share with the world what my new hobby and what I love doing. But that's probably it for me. I'd say if it's not taking pictures, I'd love to be out riding a one wheel. Although I'm ready for it to get warm because it's not as fun riding when it's 20-something degrees outside and you got to have 15 layers of clothes. But
yeah, I noticed some of your videos. It makes me think of a guy named Casey Neistat. Sometime you know who Casey is. He's a photographer out of New York, and when he first started out, that's what you would see him doing. Now it would be a skateboard, not a one wheel, but he'd be riding his skateboard or something through the streets of New York with his camera in front of him, and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. Okay, I got one more question. Question. What kind of tips do you have for somebody who might be wanting to get into the photography industry or business in general? Any tips?
I tell you, consistency is key. I was listening to a podcast today what did he say? Successful people do consistently what unsuccessful people do inconsistently, or something like that. So consistency is the key. Whatever it is that you're wanting to do, you got to be consistent. I believe that no matter what field you're in, health is a big deal. Whether it be photography, whether it be real estate, whether it be whatever career you choose, I think your health is a big deal. Whether it be getting in the gym and just doing a treadmill for 10 minutes a day, you would just be surprised at how better off you are mentally, how better you are physically, and it just really affects your whole life. And staying consistent with that, man, I actually get depressed when I don't get to the gym for if I had to take off for a couple weeks. It's like it affects my brain. It really does. There's a lot of benefits to that.
Wow, that's good. You're kind of speaking to me a little bit now. I need to be more consistent with my working out. I've been very consistent with my eating the last few years. I don't know if I told you, but my wife's a baker. So as a professional baker, it's very hard for me not to eat certain things sometimes. She doesn't bring a lot to the house, but and that's good. But yeah, that's a great tip. I mean, you've got to be consistent. You have to do that with business. You have to do that with your life. Have to do it with everything. If you're trying to learn something, you've got to be consistent in it. Tim, this has been good. This has been really, really good today. I appreciate all the advice, all the tips that you've given us. And I enjoyed learning a little bit more about your business. I had seen certain things that you had posted, but I kind of feel like I got a little bit of deeper dive into them today. So I definitely do appreciate that. Anything else you have?
No, I don't think so.
I think that quote was very similar to what I've heard in the past that says, do the things that most people won't do so that later on you'll be able to do the things that most people can't. And very similar to the consistency thing. And I botched that quote pretty bad too. But, I think that that's a great lesson to leave with today. Tim, I appreciate everything. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks, Tim, as well for being here. We've learned a lot today, and I hope you will continue to watch some of the broadcasts that we have on the Experts Game. Make sure you go back and check it out. You can also see our YouTube channel and follow us there. Make sure you subscribe, and you'll get notifications if you hit that bell. So I will talk to you a little bit later. Have a blessed day. Tim, thank you so much as well.
No problem.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Lit. I'm the producer.
I love these.